You'll want to fact check your memory and make sure that you're on solid ground by going to textual resources as well as photographic resources. So one of those is the newspaper archive, and that can be found at newspaper.com. I like to go check the obits to see when people died, and I also check vital statistics just to make sure I know when divorces happened, marriages happened. Another good source of information are the small local interest articles that appear in the paper. And if you just do a search, you'll turn up all kinds of interesting things. Search for the name of the person. In this case, this was my boyfriend at the time, and this was after I had given birth. And he's getting a letter of appointment to West Point, which had always been his dream. But memory is not always just inaccurate in terms of the dates and sequences of events. It's sometimes very faulty when it comes to the people that you're writing about. I became very curious about the woman who was the director of the Home for Unwed Mothers where I lived for 2 months. She seemed rigid, and she and I had some disagreements. And I didn't understand her. It would have been very easy for me to make her out to be the villain of the story. But instead, by doing some archival research in the newspaper, I was able to make her get a more complete picture of who she was as a person. Here she is as the director, and exactly as I remember her. When I saw that picture, I kind of gasped, and I thought, oh my gosh, she really does look like that. But what I discovered from the archives was that she was a girl much like me. She was an honors student involved in student government. She'd had an appendectomy when she was 9. And probably most important from my perspective, looking back on those years, was that she had been in the Army. And all of a sudden, I was able to understand something I had never understood, which was why she was a rigid person. It would have been very easy to make her out to be like Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But this helped me humanize her, and I think is bringing greater depth to my understanding of what went on in those years. Another place to look for archival material, of course, is letters. And what I love about letters is that they not only can give you the dates of things happening, but they can show you whether the person who's written the letter is ignoring what's going on or is dealing with it forthrightly. It can give you the terminology or the slang of that time. It can help you with the voice. If you're writing about someone, you're going to want to create some scenes with that person. And you may remember the dialogue one way, but to make sure the dialogue is as accurate as possible, it's very helpful to just have a little refresher on how that other person really spoke. This letter from my boyfriend corrected some faulty memory on my part, and I was very glad to have found it. And I think sometimes letters can provide that very, very necessary corrective. So look for them.